I'm Adam Fingersh, and I'm the Senior Vice President and General Manager of Experian's Fraud and Identity business. And with me today is John Serial, Senior Director of Product Management for our global fraud portfolio. Cybersecurity and fraud have become two of the biggest issues affecting businesses today. And it's no surprise, because fraud has become an industry really unto itself, to the tune of about $500 billion of impact to the global economy. So now more than ever, organizations need to be able to be quick and adopt new technologies and new capabilities to respond to emerging cyber threats. Fraudsters have what they need to be effective and quick, so why shouldn't businesses? Today, we're excited to introduce CrossCore, the first smart plug-and-play fraud and identity platform. So let's see how CrossCore works by starting with the consumer. In our example today, we're using ABC Bank's online credit card application form. We can see that James enters his personal information here, and when he clicks Submit, ABC Bank transfers that application to CrossCore to execute their account opening workflow. Within this workflow, they're executing a Precise ID transaction through Experian's Precise ID platform to authenticate the identity, as well as executing a FraudNet transaction to look for any fraud-related anomalies. As we can see here, the application has been referred for manual review. Now, there's a lot of reasons that an application can be referred for review, so let's log into CrossCore and see why this has been referred. Now, a lot of the screens that we're going to show you here in this next section are really the behind-the-scenes screens, and a fraud analyst would generally not be seeing these screens, but we wanted to show you how the application works on the back end. Once you log into the platform, the first thing that you see is a home screen that shows the applications and services that are available to the client. In this particular case, ABC Bank is using FraudNet, Precise ID, and Prove ID. But it's not just limited to Experian services. You can add additional Experian services or partner services, or even your own custom data and analytics capabilities that you may have developed. On the submissions history screen, we're able to go in and see James's transaction. And from the transaction, we can see how this transaction was referred. We can see at the top portion of the screen that CrossCore is recommending a referral and a manual review, but we can also see the subsidiary transactions that occurred on Precise ID and FraudNet. We can see that Precise ID passed. It was able to authenticate the identity of the individual, but FraudNet issued a medium level of risk associated with suspicious device elements that were related to geolocation mismatch. So you might wonder then, how does CrossCore take these various outputs and bring them together for an actionable response? So let's go into the workflow screens, and we can see how CrossCore manages this. The screens that you're seeing here are the policy or workflow screens. CrossCore comes pre-configured with a standard workflow that allows it to bring all of Experian's capabilities together for a unified response, but it can be completely configured for a client's specific needs, bringing in other capabilities or different outcomes. Here on this portion, you can see how outcomes are routed. And in fact, maybe we can extend our demo a little bit, and we can add in additional services. So let's assume that ABC Bank would like to add a one-time passcode capability into the transaction flow. In this screen, you can see how the hierarchy works for responses. And you can see that John is pointing to the fact that when one-time passcode is enabled, if there's a medium level of risk, it'll invoke a one-time passcode capability through a partner of ours. And if there's a high level of risk, it'll still transfer to a manual review. So now we'll log back into CrossCore, and we'll actually configure the system to invoke one-time password as part of our next flow. And because one-time passcode doesn't need any additional data elements and is already integrated into CrossCore, it's as simple as toggling a switch. And here John is activating the one-time passcode capability. So to show how that changes the flow, let's go back to the credit card application screen. And in this instance of the credit card application, James will still enter the same information and click Submit. CrossCore will still run through the same Precise ID and FraudNet transactions, and it will still encounter that same level of medium risk, but instead of giving that discouraging or annoying referral screen, this time ABC Bank is presenting a one-time passcode entry screen. And what's occurred on the back end is CrossCore has invoked an interaction with our partner to deliver a one-time passcode to a mobile device, first verifying that the phone number is the legitimate phone number that it should go to. And once that code is presented, the consumer can simply enter it here into this screen. Once you click Submit, it will execute the transaction and ensure that that passcode matches. And here we can see that the transaction has been confirmed. So in essence, ABC Bank has improved the client experience and has been able to successfully grant access to a new customer. But it's not just one-time passcode. We're excited to continue to integrate additional capabilities from partners and services, including adding additional Experian services to the mix. In this example, Precise ID and FraudNet were used, both Experian services, as well as our partner service with one-time passcode. All of those services were brought together to create a positive outcome. CrossCore uses an open platform and a single API infrastructure to allow you to bring various capabilities from different vendors together for different fraud use cases. By combining and streamlining your fraud prevention, you're able to be more reactive to the emerging fraud threats in the economy. Please come visit us in the networking session after the session today if you'd like any more information on CrossCore. Thanks for your time today.